I didn't even make it to my seat before Mara Kelton's voice cut through the conference room like a blade. "Everyone, look at this!" She waved my proposal in the air like it was contaminated. "This is what happens when someone doesn't understand their actual role here." The laughter came in short, uncomfortable bursts. Eyes dropped to tables. My face burned so hot, I thought my skin would peel. She handed my research, 3 months of late nights and weekends, to Liam, the junior analyst who'd been here 6 weeks. So, Liam will handle this project now. Elise, you can observe. Maybe you'll learn something about realistic expectations. My chest squeezed so tight I couldn't breathe. The metallic taste of humiliation filled my mouth. I sat down slowly, my hands shaking in my lap. Around me, people pretended to study their laptops. Nobody met my eyes. Mara smiled, satisfied, and continued the meeting like she hadn't just shattered me in front of everyone. That moment changed everything. Because right then, sitting in that uncomfortable chair with my face on fire and my proposal in someone else's hands, I made a decision. I would not break. Not today, not ever. She thought I had nothing. She was wrong. My name is Elise Harper. I'm 33 years old, and I'm nobody special. I grew up in a small Ohio town where everyone knew everyone's business. I wasn't the popular girl or the smart girl or the pretty girl. I was just there. Average grades, average looks, average life. The divorce a year ago had stripped away whatever confidence I'd built. My ex-husband had made sure of that. He'd spent our last year together telling me I wasn't enough, not interesting enough, not ambitious enough, not woman enough. This job was supposed to be my fresh start, my proof that I could rebuild, that I mattered. I'd moved to the city, found a tiny apartment, and thrown myself into work at Cornerstone Consulting. For the first time in years, I felt like maybe I could be someone. Then Mara Kelton became my manager. She was everything I wasn't. Confident, polished, connected. She walked into rooms like she owned them, and somehow she always did. I admired her at first. Then I feared her. Now I understood her. And understanding her was the first step to surviving her. My first week at Cornerstone, I'd stayed late preparing a strategic analysis for an upcoming client pitch. I was so excited. This was my chance to prove myself, to show I belonged here. I put the report in a leather binder and left it on Mara's desk with a note. Thought this might help with the Mitchell account. Happy to discuss further. The next morning, she called me into her office. "This is ambitious," she said, flipping through pages without really reading them. Her smile looked painful, maybe too ambitious for where you are right now. "Oh, I just thought, that's sweet. Really?" She closed the binder. "But let's focus on your actual responsibilities first, okay, so?" I nodded, embarrassed, and left. 2 days later, I sat in the conference room for the Mitchell pitch. Mara stood at the front presenting my exact analysis, my graphs, my recommendations, even my specific phrasing. Word for word. Everyone clapped. The clients loved it. Our director praised Mara's innovative thinking. She never once looked at me. I sat there frozen, understanding for the first time what kind of person I was dealing with. This wasn't mentorship. This was theft. Mara had favourites, and she made sure everyone knew it. Liam topped the list, fresh from business school, charming, male. Everything she wanted to be associated with. She gave him the best projects, praised him in executive meetings, took him to client dinners. The rest of us got scraps. But she saved her special treatment for me. "You're really good at the detailed work," she'd say in tea meetings, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "The behind-the-scenes stuff, let the strategic minds handle the big picture. Translation, stay small. Stay quiet. Stay in your place." She'd assign me busy work while giving my ideas to others. She'd schedule important meetings when she knew I had conflicts. She'd cut me off mid-sentence to ask Liam's opinion. Every interaction was designed to make me feel smaller. And for months, it worked. I started second-guessing everything, my ideas, my work, my worth. Maybe she was right. Maybe I didn't belong here. Maybe I really was nothing. But that thought, that terrible whisper of defeat, it was also what eventually saved me. Because I got tired of being nothing. The breaking point came during the Riverside client presentation. I'd spent 2 weeks preparing materials for the meeting. My name was on every document. The agenda listed me as a key participant. The morning of the presentation, Mara sent a brief email. Change of the plans, smaller team. You're not needed. I stared at my screen, disbelieving. I found her in the hallway. Mara, I prepared everything for this meeting. The clients specifically requested. I know what the clients requested. She didn't even slow down. But honestly, Elise, I didn't want to risk you freezing under pressure. You're not ready for that level of visibility. But this isn't up for discussion. She finally stopped, turning to face me. Her expression was almost pitying. I'm protecting you from embarrassment. You should be thanking me. My throat burned, my hands trembled. She looked satisfied with my reaction. She actually looked pleased that she'd hurt me. That night, sitting alone in my apartment, I realized something crucial. She wouldn't stop until I quit or broke completely. This was personal for her. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I sat at my kitchen table, laptop open, staring at Mara's email about the Riverside meeting. Something shifted inside me. A door closing, a window opening. I could quit. Pack up my small life and run, prove my ex-husband right, prove Mara right. Or I could stay. But staying meant changing everything. My inner voice, the one I'd been ignoring for months, whispered clearly, asterisk, let her underestimate you. Let her think you're weak. Let her believe she's won. Because patient people are always underestimated. And underestimated people, they're the most dangerous. I opened a new folder on my laptop, named it Documentation. Then I started going through my emails. Every interaction with Mara. Every project she'd reassigned. Every idea she'd stolen. Every meeting I'd been excluded from. I created a spreadsheet. Dates, times, witnesses, outcomes. I didn't know exactly what I was building, but I knew I was building something. By sunrise, I had 6 months of patterns documented. Clear, undeniable, damning. I saved everything to 3 separate locations. Then I went to work. Calm, quiet, ready. I started paying attention to the other people Mara had dismissed. Marcus from operations barely existed to her. She'd walk past his desk without acknowledgement, even though he managed critical systems. Vanessa in data analytics had brilliant insights that Mara would talk over in meetings, then present as her own later. David, a senior consultant, had actually been here longer than Mara. She'd systematically frozen him out of important decisions. I began having coffee with these people. I've been waiting, David told me during one of our chats, for someone else to see through her act. How long have you been documenting? I asked. His smile was grim. 2 years. We started sharing information. Not openly, that would have been dangerous, but quietly in early morning meetings before others arrived, in encrypted emails, in careful conversations. Marcus provided project timeline data. Vanessa shared meeting notes showing whose ideas were whose. David had exit interview summaries from people who'd left because of Mara. The network formed itself naturally. We weren't conspiring. We were just tired of being erased. Mara seemed to sense my shift, even though I'd changed nothing outwardly. She started assigning me impossible tasks. I need a complete competitive analysis by Monday, she'd say on Friday afternoon. And a revised strategy deck by Tuesday morning, she'd add on Monday evening. Also, can you cover the client reporting? Everyone else is busy with important projects. No support, no resources, no reasonable timeline. You said you wanted more responsibility, didn't you? Her smile was sharp. Here's your chance to prove yourself. By midnight Tuesday, I was still at my desk. She walked past, coat on, bag over her shoulder. She flicked the lights off. Still here. Some people just work slower, I guess. Her laugh echoed down the empty hallway. My jaw clenched so hard my teeth ached. But inside something was crystallizing. Every cruelty was making me stronger. Every impossible task was teaching me something. Every late night was proving I could survive what she threw at me. She was training me accidentally to be unstoppable. The client disaster should have destroyed me. We were presenting to a major account. I'd prepared the final deliverable, a comprehensive strategy document with financial models and implementation timelines. The morning of the presentation, files were missing from our shared drive. Critical files, the financial models, the competitive analysis, gone. Where are the files, Elise? Mara asked in front of the clients, her voice sugary with false concern. They were there last night. I checked everything. This is why attention to detail matters, she told the clients, shaking her head sadly. I apologize. Elise has been struggling to keep up with the workload. The client's disappointment was crushing. I felt like I was drowning. But later that day, I remembered something. Our IT system logged every action on shared drives. I requested the logs citing quality control procedures. The deletion timestamp, 6:47 a.m. that morning. The user M.Kelton. I saved 3 copies of those logs. Quietly. Carefully. Waiting. Something unexpected started happening. Because I never complained, never broke down publicly, never stopped producing good work despite everything, people started noticing. That. Not Mara's people, the others. Our director, Patricia, pulled me aside after a team meeting. You're holding this team together, she said quietly. Don't think I haven't seen it. I blinked, surprised. I'm just doing my job. You're doing everyone's job, including hers. Patricia's expression was unreadable. That kind of consistency gets noticed. A week later, an executive requested me specifically for a project analysis. Mara's face went white when she heard. I'm sure that's a mistake, she said quickly. Elise doesn't have experience with executive-level work. Then she'll gain it, the executive replied. Send her up tomorrow. In the bathroom later, I saw Mara staring at herself in the mirror. For the first time, I saw something new in her expression. Fear. Her control was slipping. And she knew it. I enrolled in every workshop I could find. Advanced analytics, strategic presentation skills, executive communication, financial modeling. I watched TED Talks during lunch, read business books on the train, practiced presentations in my empty apartment until my delivery was flawless. My ex-husband's voice still whispered sometimes, "You're not enough." But now I had a stronger voice answering, "Asterisk, watch me become more." I started dressing differently, not dramatically, just sharper, more intentional. I learned to hold eye contact 3 seconds longer. I practiced speaking with periods instead of question marks. Small changes, deliberate changes. Mara still mocked me. Oh, look at Elise, all professional now. Her laugh was forced, but her eyes said something different. Her eyes said, "You're changing, and I can't stop it." 3 months after my self-upgrade began, Patricia called me to her office. "I'm recommending you for the senior analyst role," she said. I sat very still. "You've earned it, multiple times over." When I left her office, Mara was watching from across the floor. She didn't look satisfied anymore, and she looked cornered. Mara tried sidelining me again. "You'll shadow the new hires this month," she announced. "Training duties. Perfect for your skill set. Translation, busy work, to keep me invisible." But the directors kept requesting me. "We need Elise on the Carson project. Elise should present the quarterly analysis. Has anyone asked Elise's opinion on this?" In a strategy meeting, Mara talked over me when I was mid-sentence. What Elise is trying to say. Actually, Patricia interrupted, let Elise finish. The room went silent. Mara's mouth opened, closed, opened again. I finished my point, calmly, clearly. 3 executives nodded. After the meeting, I saw Mara in the copy room gripping the counter like it was the only thing holding her up. The power had shifted. We both felt it. The question was no longer if she'd fall. It was when, and how far. HR requested a private meeting with me. My stomach dropped. Had Mara filed another complaint? But the HR director, James, wore a careful expression. We're conducting a routine review of team dynamics and management effectiveness, he said. Nothing formal, just gathering perspectives. His eyes said it wasn't routine at all. He asked about workload distribution, team communication management style, whether I felt supported. I answered every question like I was placing chess pieces. Honest, measured, specific. I didn't volunteer information, didn't editorialize, didn't sound bitter. Just facts. Has anyone ever taken credit for your work? Yes. Can you provide examples? I did. 3 of them. With dates. Have you ever been excluded from meetings you should have attended? Yes. How often? I can send you a list if helpful. His pen moved faster. I kept my voice level. Professional. Almost detached. Let the facts speak. Let them draw their own conclusions. When I left, James said, "Thank you for your candor, Elise." His expression told me everything. They were building a case. Marcus sent me an encrypted email with an attachment, a spreadsheet he'd been maintaining for 18 months. Project assignments across the entire team. Deadlines, hours logged, success rates. The pattern was devastating. Mara gave her favourites reasonable timelines and adequate support. Everyone else, especially me, got impossible deadlines with 0 resources. Projects I'd worked on had success rates matching or exceeding Liam's, but my assignments were 3 times as complex with half the time. The data didn't lie. This was systematic, intentional, calculated. I added it to my documentation folder, along with the IT deletion logs, along with the email chains showing she'd presented my work as hers, along with the meeting notes proving she'd excluded me deliberately. Piece by piece, the case was building itself. I wasn't creating evidence. I was just organizing what she'd created. Every cruel decision, every power play, every petty exclusion. She'd documented her own downfall. I'd just kept the receipts. Mara called me into her office. She closed the door. Unusual. Are you trying to undermine me? Her voice was tight, controlled. No, I met her eyes. You're doing that yourself. Her face flushed red. Excuse me. I do my work, I meet my deadlines, I support my team. That's not undermining. That's my job. You think you're clever? She leaned forward. You think people don't see what you're doing? What am I doing? She slammed her hand on the desk. Playing innocent, acting like you're some kind of victim. I stayed quiet. You think you're smarter than me? Her voice cracked slightly. I still didn't answer, because I didn't need to. We both knew the truth now. She wasn't angry because I was challenging her. She was angry because I'd stopped being afraid. And she didn't know how to control someone who wasn't afraid anymore. Her power had always been fear. Without it, she was nothing. She stripped me of the Henderson project, the major account I'd been leading for 2 months. This isn't your level, she announced in front of the entire team. I'm reassigning it to someone with more experience. By more experience, she meant Liam, who joined after I'd already started the project. Humiliation. Again. Public. Deliberate. But something different happened this time. The room didn't erupt in nervous laughter. It went silent. Not the silence of agreement, the silence of disbelief. Vanessa's eyes widened. Marcus's jaw clenched. David shook his head slightly. Even Liam looked uncomfortable. I don't understand the Henderson account as well as Elise does, he said quietly. Mara's head snapped towards him. You'll learn. But the damage was done. Everyone in that room had just watched her pull someone off a successful project for no reason except cruelty. They'd watched her punish competence, and they'd finally seen what I'd been living with for over a year. After the meeting, 3 people stopped by my desk. That was wrong. We see it now. I'm sorry we didn't speak up sooner. The tide was turning. Patricia invited me to breakfast at a cafe downtown. Unusual, significant. We're evaluating leadership positions, she said over coffee, restructuring the management team. My heart hammered. Your work has been exemplary. Your composure under pressure, your consistency. She stirred her coffee thoughtfully. Those are leadership qualities. Thank you. I need to ask you something directly. She met my eyes. Have you been documenting issues with your current management? I paused, careful. I keep records of my projects and communications, standard professional practice. Good, she nodded. Keep doing exactly that. And Elise? Yes? Don't stop being who you are. That quiet strength, it's rare, it's valuable, and it's exactly what leadership looks like. When I left, my hands were shaking. They knew. The executives knew everything. They were just waiting for the right moment, building their own case. And I was part of it. Just when I thought the worst was over, Mara launched her final attack. She filed a formal complaint accusing me of falsifying project data. The accusation was specific, detailed, calculated to destroy my credibility completely. She expected panic, tears, collapse. But she didn't know I had the original files, with timestamps and backup logs, and witness confirmations from Marcus's systems. Every piece of data she claimed was false, I could prove was accurate. Every timeline she said I'd manipulated, I had version histories showing they were legitimate. HR launched a full investigation of both of us. Mara still smiled in meetings, still acted confident, still certain her position would protect her. She'd spent so long believing she was untouchable that she couldn't see the walls closing in. Her arrogance was almost beautiful in its completeness. Almost. The internal audit team interviewed everyone on our team. One by one were called into conference rooms. Liam came out looking shaken. He found me later in the break room. I told them the truth, he said quietly, about the projects she gave me that were yours, about the pressure, about everything. Why? Because it was wrong. I knew it was wrong, and I went along with it anyway. I'm sorry. More people came forward. Different people, different stories, but the same pattern. The same systematic abuse. The same calculated cruelty. I didn't celebrate, didn't gossip, didn't gloat. I just kept working, kept producing, kept being professional. That consistency, that refusal to become like her was what scared Mara most. I saw her watching me across the office. Her eyes said, "*Who are you?' I thought I knew who you were. I thought you were nothing. What are you?" The audit uncovered everything. The deleted files, the IT logs proved she'd sabotaged my work. Her email trails contradicted every complaint she'd made. Timeline manipulations across multiple projects. Her performance reviews of me contained identical phrases repeated across months, evidence of bias rather than actual evaluation. She tried explaining. It was a misunderstanding. Those files were corrupted. I was trying to protect the team. But facts don't misunderstand. Data doesn't lie. Patterns don't corrupt themselves. The evidence built a wall so high and so solid that no amount of charm or explanation could scale it. She'd spent months constructing my downfall. Instead, she'd engineered her own. Every piece of evidence she'd created to destroy me became proof of her misconduct. Every lie she'd told revealed another truth she'd tried to hide. The more she'd tried to bury me, the deeper she'd dug her own grave for perfect, complete, inevitable. They called me to the executive floor. 6 people sat in a conference room. Patricia, James from HR, 3 other senior executives, our CEO. My heart pounded so hard I thought they could hear it. Miss Harper, the CEO began, we've completed our investigation. I nodded, afraid to speak. Your professionalism throughout this process has been remarkable. The evidence you provided was thorough, objective, and damning. He paused. You handled this situation with more maturity and integrity than most people in leadership positions. You never retaliated, never gossiped, never compromised your work quality despite sustained harassment. My throat tightened. That tells us exactly what kind of leader you'd be. Patricia smiled. We're not just clearing you of all accusations, James added. We're commending you. Your documentation potentially saved this company from a serious liability issue. The CEO stood. Thank you for your patience and your strength. I walked out of that room barely breathing. But I walked out vindicated. Completely. They didn't fire Mara. Not immediately. Her downfall was slower, more deliberate, more devastating. She was stripped of all management responsibilities, demoted to an individual contributor role with no direct reports, moved to a different floor, a smaller desk, a role with no visibility. Her name removed from client lists, her access to strategic meetings revoked. Everything she'd built her identity around, gone. The people who'd praised her suddenly couldn't remember her name. Former allies avoided her in hallways. Her kingdom hadn't just collapsed. It had been systematically dismantled, brick by brick, person by person, project by project, until nothing remained but her, sitting at a small desk, doing work that didn't matter, invisible to everyone who'd once feared her. I saw her once in the cafeteria, eating lunch alone. She looked smaller somehow, folded inward. She glanced up, saw me, and quickly looked away. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt quiet. Justice doesn't always roar. Sometimes it just whispers, *enough. They offered me Mara's old position. Team lead, strategic accounts, direct reports, the office she'd occupied, the authority she'd abused. You don't have to decide immediately, Patricia said. But I already knew my answer. I'd be honoured. My first day in that office, I removed everything of hers that remained. I brought in a plant, photos of people I loved, books I actually read. I made it mine. Not by erasing her, but by building something completely different. My first team meeting, I laid out my expectations. I value your ideas, all of them. You'll get credit for your work. You'll be supported in your growth, and if you ever feel unheard or unseen, my door is open. Vanessa's eyes filled with tears. This is going to be different, Marcus said. Oh, it already was. Because I hadn't risen by destroying someone. I'd risen by refusing to be destroyed. That's a foundation that doesn't crumble. Months passed. The team flourished, projects succeeded. People who'd been invisible started shining. Liam became genuinely talented once he wasn't being used as a weapon. Vanessa's insights drove a major client win. Marcus's systems improved efficiency across the entire company. David finally got the recognition he deserved. We worked late sometimes, but nobody felt small. We disagreed sometimes, but nobody felt silenced. We made mistakes sometimes, but nobody got destroyed for being human. One afternoon, I passed Mara in the hallway. She was carrying a box of files, heading to a meeting that didn't matter, living a professional life that had become a shadow of what she'd built. She glanced at me, then away quickly. I didn't stop, didn't speak, didn't gloat. I'd moved beyond the battlefield, beyond revenge, beyond the need to prove anything to her. Because my life wasn't about her anymore. It never really had been. She was just someone who tried to make herself big by making others small. And that strategy never works forever. I learned something during those brutal months under Mara's management. The most powerful revenge isn't destruction. It's construction. Building yourself while someone tries to break you. Rising steadily while they crumble from their own rot. Becoming exactly who you're meant to be while they reveal exactly who they've always been. Mara thought I had nothing. No voice, no power, no presence, no fight. She saw my quietness and mistook it for weakness. She saw my patience and thought it was defeat. She saw my professionalism and assumed it was submission. She was wrong about everything. Because quiet people aren't weak. We're just too busy building to announce every brick we lay. Sss. We're too focused on becoming something real to waste energy on appearing important. And when we finally rise, we rise on foundations that can't be shaken. We rise because we've earned every inch. We rise because we've become people worthy of the height. Mara thought she could bury me. Instead, she taught me how deep my roots could grow. And now I'm unshakable. Mara thought she could bury me. Instead, she taught me how deep my roots could grow. And now I'm unshakable.